Hello and happy Monday to you. I hope that you had a great weekend. I had a fantastic weekend. I had a weekend of connecting with friends, with new friends, and getting to know people on a deeper level, like getting to know a couple of new people. Well, one is someone I've known for a while, and one person that I met with this weekend was someone that I recently met and really felt like this like immediate connection to her, and I wanted to get to know her more. And so we were able to meet on Saturday, and now we're starting to forge our friendship. The other young lady that I met with yesterday is someone that I've been building a friendship with for over the past year. And it's just really amazing to see how far both of us have come, and what we're doing with our lives, and um, the possibilities, and looking forward to the possibilities. So today I want to talk to you about, do you like you? And is it possible for you to rewrite your story? And I'm here to tell you yes. My name is Leslie Godet, and I'm an empowerment coach. And what I do is I help my clients get a handle on their mental clutter so that they are freed up to pursue their dreams and aspirations and turn their visions for their lives into their realities. So let's get to it. First question for you is, do you love yourself? This is a question that is hard to answer for a lot of people. Easier to say, to answer when someone asks you, do you love another person? Do you love your children? Do you love your spouse? Do you love your siblings? Do you love your parents? But do you love yourself? Like, really love who you are, the person that you are today? Do you love your core values, what you stand for, and the life that you're living? We often find it much easier to praise someone else for the person that they are and for the life that they're living. But when it comes to us, we're so super critical. And why is that? I don't know. It still is a question that I haven't been able to answer, because again, everyone's different, but it's our own perceptions of our life, and how we perceive everything that's going on around us. So it's like, here, I'm just going to put on my notifications for my phone, because I do not want it to ring in the middle of this. Sorry about that. Should have done that first. But so again, it's like, when we are looking at ourselves, things that we do, we're super critical about ourselves, but we're so easy. We find it easier to even like a complete stranger or someone we know and admire, we're able to like say, hey, you are awesome. But have you ever noticed that when someone pays you a compliment based maybe around what you do, and you kind of feel a little cringy, that feeling of, oh, like, who are you talking about? Are you sure you're talking about me? We'll often say to ourselves, how could we ever measure up to anything, like anything at all, especially when we're so critical about ourselves, the person that we're presenting to the world, our core values, what we stand for, the life we're living. And this is key, because if your life is not in alignment with where you want to go, who you want to be, what you want to do, then you'll always be super critical, and you'll always find fault with you and whatever you try to do or try to be, right? So that's like, whoa, deep, right? But it's true. So here's the question. What if you could rewrite your story? Is it even possible? Did you know that our feelings write our story of our lives? What I mean is, when you experience something really good or something even really bad, you assign a memory to that feeling, right? So when you experience something bad, you're triggered to associate the negativity of that experience as there being something wrong with you. And then you start assigning negative, limiting beliefs for your life in general. And then maybe you start saying things like, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve anything positive from my life. I can't, nor could I ever accomplish anything great. I'm stupid. I'll never measure up. I'll never have enough. I don't deserve to be happy. Ever catch yourself saying things like that to yourself? Because maybe you're in the moment. Again, our feelings write our stories. We assign a memory to our feelings, And when we get triggered and that feeling comes up, guess what? That memory comes up and we're right back in it. So you see how this works? Something happens and then you assign a limiting belief around that event. And when you get triggered, your memory jogs your brain to remember, oh yeah, this is happening because I'm not worthy or I don't deserve to be happy. And so it goes on and on and on as a triggered limiting belief that you assign to you. So again, I ask you, what if you could rewrite your story? Because maybe you're not happy with, maybe your life has been a certain way. And I don't want you to look back on with regret on your life. It's your life that you've lived. Don't look back with regret. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have the opportunity to write your story going forward, from today going forward. So how does that work? Well, here are 2 things today that you can start right now to rewrite your story from a positive frame of mind, okay? A healthy mindset. I want you to look at this from a positive mindset so that when you get triggered, you start to learn to associate that event with something that happened in the past, but you don't allow yourself to assign a limiting belief to you in that memory. So you have to have the courage, the strength, the willpower to do this, but you have to want to do it for you and believe that you deserve this. You deserve to have the life that you want to live, and you deserve to love the life that you are living, right? So here is what you need to do in order to rewrite your story. Here's a couple things that you can do. So number 1, start by looking back and reflecting on how you interpreted past experiences. So you look back and reflect, and you ask yourself, how did I interpret what happened? You know, how do you interpret the life you have lived? So you go back to these past events and reflect on, how did I react and respond to things like this? How did this make me feel? Why did I feel this way? You know, this is going a little bit deep, but the reward of doing this is amazing. Like you look back and you go, wow, that happened. I felt that way. But today I have control over my feelings if I allow myself to manage my feelings so that I don't allow them to influence my reactions and responses in a negative way. Rather, I look back and I'll say, okay, this reminds me of something that happened. Yes, it wasn't a good experience. It's not a great memory, but I have control over right now, today, how I react and respond to what's going on right now. So I'll give you an example. You get into an argument with somebody. Well, it's not a full-blown argument just yet, but you get into a discussion with someone and you guys just are not agreeing on anything. So in the past, when maybe you felt judged and criticized in the past, so say that was something that happened to you, and in the past you would have responded in a way where you became very judgmental, confrontational, your hairs on the back of your neck would stand up, you would just, become defensive, right? So today, because you are aware of how you reacted and responded in the past to something that triggered you to feel judged and criticized, you have the opportunity, being mature, having gone through your life and had these experiences, to be able to get yourself to stop in the mid emotion so that you can control that emotion and you can change how you react and respond. So you interpret how you reacted in your past experiences. But here's another thing, just to go even a little bit deeper. There's an article I just read. It's called How to Rewrite Your Life Story. And it spoke of 2 sisters, and I wanted to share this with you to give you like an aha moment, okay? The article goes on to say, there are 2 types of interpretations, those that empower you and those that disempower you. So the story of the 2 sisters who were both routinely abused by their father growing up. One of the sisters eventually turned to drugs, didn't finish school, became homeless, and went from one abusive relationship to another. The other sister, on the other hand, went to college. She had a successful career and was in a loving relationship with someone who cherished her. Both girls were interviewed on national television, and when asked the question, how did you end up where you are today? Their response was the same, which to me is like incredible when you hear this. After everything I went through, after everything I endured, how could I have turned out any differently? Like, wow, that blew my mind, right? Because think about it. You grew up, and say and you're not an only child, but say you grew up with other kids in your house, so your siblings, and it doesn't matter whether it's step siblings, half siblings, your siblings, you grow up in the same household. Your experience is going to be different. How you navigate your life is going to be different than the other person in the house that grew up with the same environment, with the same influences. Why? Because it's how we interpret it and use it for our lives. Like, right? So when you look at how these two sisters, one turned out and she went down this horrible road because what did she do? She held on to, like this, she held on to it so tight to what happened to her that it turned her to a life of drugs, to a life of abusive relationships, and not feeling worthy. Whereas the other sister, on the other hand, believed that she was worthy enough for better and sought that out. She sought that better life and she went after it and she achieved it. So it really is all about how you interpret your experience and what you do with that. You either hold on to it, like if it was a bad experience, you hold on to it with all you've got. And you allow that to shape your life and who you become and how you get out into the world. Or you say to yourself, you know what? That happened to me. That's not my reality anymore. I get to choose my life. I get to write my story. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you here? You have the opportunity to write your story, how you want it to go, not how something happened to you. Don't allow that to influence your story today. Happened is a past tense word, right? Past. That's meaning something happened. It's no longer your reality. Let me tell you a story about myself. I'm going to be open here. I grew up in a home that for 6 years, a man that my mom was seeing was physically abusing her. And I saw him hurt her many times. I was very young and I was so powerless to stop it. The only way I could stop, I became very, very intuitive, by the way. I would sense a shift in his whole demeanor. And when I would try to find ways to distract him so that he wouldn't do that. And as a young child, this started when I was 8 years old. So you can imagine, I grew up very quickly, having to learn how to become intuitive to the emotion in the room so I could try to shift it. So when I grew up, I did actually first seek out the wrong kind of guy. I was always going for the bad boy, the guy who would get into trouble, that he wasn't really the right fit for me. I ended up in a relationship where he was mentally abusive to me for 4.5 years. And finally, I woke up one day and I looked at myself and said, what are you doing? You don't have to have that as your story. You can rewrite it. So I did. I started then realizing I am worthy. I deserve more. So I started seeking out men who were kind, who were caring, who had good relationships with their moms, with their sisters, and treated women with respect. So I could in fact say something similar to what those sisters, that I just shared you that story, that after everything that I went through, after everything that I endured, watching and being powerless to stop anything from happening to my mom, only by maybe the intuitive forces at play where I could sometimes distract him, getting into a relationship with the wrong kind of guy, and then waking up, how could I have turned out any differently, right? And I grew up with 2 younger brothers in the house. And they're different too. Their experiences, how they interpreted their life is completely different than how I interpreted my experience. So, excuse me, I have a little bit of the sniffles because the allergies all of a sudden hit me this morning. So excuse me for doing this. So, you know, right now I can actually say thank you to my mom though, because one of the things that she did for me was she gave me the strength and the courage and the wisdom to be strong and stand up for me and what I deserve. And I'm truly grateful for her for that. You know, I really am truly grateful. So number two, like I said, number one is looking back and reflecting. How do you interpret the life you have lived so far? Did you grow up with brothers and sisters? Maybe you want to have that interesting conversation saying, well, what do you remember about growing up? I bet you'll be shocked to hear something completely different from what you actually thought was the experience for all of you. No, it's different. Number two, you create a positive future for you. You have the choice to assign negative limiting beliefs to your triggers, your memories. You can focus on the bad and hold it close to you, dear to your heart. Hold on to it with all your might. Allow it to influence you, how you react and respond, and how you travel through your life every day, how you interact with other people, your circumstances. Or you can focus on where you're at in your life today. Start practicing gratitude for every gift you have and continue to receive. And start focusing on changing your mindset onto what is possible. Because so much is possible for you if you open up your mind, your heart, your soul, every part of your being. It's possible if you just believe in you. And the possibilities could be limitless. I'll give you another example of my life. Years and years and years ago, I used to model. And while I was doing that, I was working a very busy corporate job. So I was working for lawyers. I had picked a career. I wanted to be in legal. And one day I realized I had to choose between the two. I really realized, I can't do both. For some reason, I just feel like I'm being tugged one way or the other. And so I ended up choosing the legal job. So as soon as I chose that, I walked into my agent's office and I broke the news to him and I told him I'm hanging out my heels and only going to focus on the corporate job because I felt that I really couldn't put my all into modeling and be able to go to all of the auditions, all of the go-sees, do the fashion shows, movie extra jobs. A lot of that time, those things were during the day and we're at a moment's notice, and I couldn't just up and leave my work or take time off at a moment's notice. Like I couldn't say, today I go at lunchtime for an audition, I get the audition and the fashion show's this afternoon, or it's tomorrow. I couldn't just do that. So long story short, I come to find out 2 weeks after I told him that I was done, that the editor of Marie Claire at the time walked into his office and expressed interest in me. She saw my picture on his wall. And he told her that I had decided that I wasn't going to be a model anymore. I just decided that I wasn't going to do it. And now to say that I was upset is an understatement when I found out. I asked myself many times, and I held on to it for a long time, kept thinking, why didn't he call me? Why didn't he call me? Right? After many years of reflection, I realized that he was just respecting my wishes. And I found peace now with that because I'm on to my life the way I want it to be now. Moral of the story is this: I framed a positive future for myself around my career in law, and I became really good at what I did, and I built really good and solid relationships with the people that I worked with. I've had a very, very successful career working with lawyers. So I rewrote my story in a positive way. I could have looked at that. As I said, I did hold on to it for a bit. I did look back with regret many times because I loved to model. I can't express to you how much I loved it. I mean, my passion was there. but obviously it wasn't, right? Because if my passion was there, I would have found a way. So I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing today because I rewrote my story in a positive mindset, moved on with my life, went through my life and figured out what was best for me at the time. And then when I was ready, I was able to rewrite my story again. And now I am doing that which I am super passionate about, and that is helping others around mental clutter and being able to have a clear, positive, focused mindset based on their triggers, helping them to manage their feelings, their emotions, so that the emotions do not manage them. What you're doing now, as I said, looking back and reflecting, you're looking back so that you can move forward. But you're not getting stuck in the past and allowing it to dictate your future. So, just to recap, to go back again, you're looking back, you're reflecting on the things that you experienced in your life. I have a piece of homework for you, really, seriously. If you grew up with other siblings, I want you to take some time this week and talk to your brothers and sisters. Ask them, what do you remember about growing up in our home? Share how you felt growing up, what your experiences, what your interpretation of what happened in your household, what your interpretation of that was. You will be surprised. I know it for a fact. You will be surprised that your experiences, although the same, your outcome, your interpretation, the things that you do are going to be completely different. If you look at the lifestyles of your siblings, it's completely different from what you're doing, what you chose to do, what they chose to do, based on how you interpreted how you grew up. I mean, it's kind of freaky, but it's true. And then you frame a positive future for you. If you are ready to rewrite your story because now you've decided, you know what, that was then, I am in the now and I want change, you have the ability to rewrite your story. You just have to want it. Again, it's looking back and reflecting, seeing how you reacted and responded, and then framing that positive future for yourself. You know, instead of assigning negative beliefs, limiting beliefs to your memories, start saying, you know what, this happened, and I can either go down that road to feeling really crappy about myself, or I can grow and learn from this and use it to my advantage. Like I did. I used a lot of what happened to me growing up to my advantage. I'm more confident now than I ever was, and I would like that for you. So I'm hoping that this was helpful for you today to hear this message. Thank you so much for listening. And I would ask, please, that you share this video and help me help others. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope that you start living the life you love and you start loving the life that you live. And that today you focus on having an attitude of gratitude. It will help you get through whatever life decides to throw at you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.